Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little project for you that I was inspired by something I saw on clearance at the Hobby Lobby. I was there the other day and I stumbled upon this roll of cording. You can see the cording. Normally it would sell for $9.99, and even at their 40% off price it would be in the $6 range or someplace close to that, but I found it reduced for $2.49. I thought this was a fabulous buy. And when I saw it, I couldn't help but buy it because it's in my favorite colors, blue and white. I knew immediately that I could do a trivet, coasters, or maybe a basket with it. So this is the inspiration, and this is why I'm putting it out right now. So that if by chance you see this and you're near a Hobby Lobby, run over and see if you can find a deal like I did. Now, I did find it in the burlap, in the wedding aisle, where they have burlap and other sorted ribbon type miscellaneous. It was not with the regular ribbon. So that's this project, and I made a trivet out of it. One roll of this bolt is 15 feet, and you can get 2 trivets out of this. The next thing I'm going to show you is a coaster, okay? And I'm actually going to demonstrate how to make this one because the process is the same. And for this, I used nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. This is some I had in my stash on hand, but this is what it is, nautical rope. I also used some twine from the Dollar Tree, very thin twine. This comes in a 2 or 3 pack for $1.25. So you're going to need some of this if you want to make it like I did. You'll need some Scotch tape, and you will need some hot glue. Now, like I said, and the last one is made with fabric, and I'll give you a brief tutorial on this at the end. Now, what you need to do for all 3 products is when you purchase your coil, whether it's the large blue and white that I got at Hobby Lobby or the nautical rope, you must tape off the end. If it does not come taped off, this is very important. Otherwise, it will ravel. Now, to make the coaster, I measured out 1 yard. This is 1 yard. So before I cut it, I'm going to take my Scotch tape and I'm going to wrap it around the end piece so it does not unravel. Now I will cut right here on the other side of the Scotch tape. Now remember, this is the same process if you are using the thicker cording. Okay, now to begin, it's very simple. You're going to take your Scotch tape end, and you will take your hot glue gun and place a little line of glue this way, all the way over the end, and down to the other side of the Scotch tape. Can you see that? Pick up your thin twine and stick this and wrap it around on top of your hot glue. Okay? Very simple. What we're trying to do here, we're going to cover this Scotch tape. So now that you have that piece on, take your hot glue and run some. You don't need to wrap it on both sides, as long as you have something to secure it to. And you're going to take your twine and you're going to wrap it. And just continue to wrap it around the cord covering the Scotch tape. When you may have to add a little more hot glue. This is very simple. Okay. Continue to wrap as neatly as you can all the way around till you get to the end. Now when you get to the end, excuse my fingernails, when you get to the end, here, let it sit for a second, and I'll show you what you're going to do then. Part of this will show, part of it won't. And the ending is very similar, the way you finish it off, the coil. But you're going to take a little hot glue on the top and let it cool for a second. Take your twine and just cover as best you can that cord. Are you able to see what I've done here? I'll move my finger. You can now snip off this little tail and somewhat push it down with a tool or your fingernail. That's how you will begin every project you do. Now what I did on this coaster was I wrapped some twine around the cording. And I forgot to do that here as I started to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and add it on. But you would normally want to do it from the very beginning and start that way. But I'll go ahead and add it in. And I think for demonstration purposes, it'll be fine. I'm going to push this up a little bit. Add a dab of hot glue right in between where the cording braids together. And I'm going to stick this on. Now all you have to do is take and wrap this twine around the nautical rope. It will automatically space itself if you just turn the nautical rope and your cording. See what I'm doing here? I'm just turning it around. This is very simple. It would be much easier if I wasn't trying to film. And you're going to do this all the way to the end. Now I'm going to pause the camera here because this is probably boring for you, and I think you get the gist. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to wrap this, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I have coiled and now that I'm back, and I've wrapped the entire so I'll just coil with the twine. And again, this is an optional step. You could use small yarn. Again, you could use just wrap embroidery. Once you get to this point, thread, anything. I just did this because I have it on hand. I mean, all in all, I thought it would add a little bit of color and a little bit of texture. Now, when you come to this end, we're going to wrap it off the exact same way 10 minutes as we started. Very little material. So to do that, we are taking and adding, again, some hot glue. Now we're down to the end. Can you see? We're right down to on one side. Now I want to trim this a little bit. I'm taking my hot glue. I'm going to stick it in here. I've got the tape on here, but I want to remove. As I pinch, I'm going to really, if I can, press part of this little tail area. Hoping it flattens a bit. What I'm trying to have a giant lump is get this to be a little bit more angular. So that when it's not going to make any big difference. It has. I just think it looks a little better if it's more tapered. Of a pointed edge. This one again is not as tapered to flatten. As you can see, if you can do it, fine. If not, that's fine too. So what all in all, these are pretty cute little coasters. Trying to remove would make a nice little gift for somebody. Sometimes it helps to put a little bit of hot glue very in inexpensive. And again, it's a project. This is a very old technique. I've made bracelets with these. I also, during COVID, made a rug using the same technique, but I use clothesline. Now we're going to bring the strips of fabric. Which I can actually show you more of a picture of someday if you'd like to see it, as well as the bracelets I made using this technique. You could, if you had a sewing machine, you could actually zigzag around this. The coil is hard, would be hard to do. If you were using a thinner coil, such as I did with the fabric one, and what this is nothing but
let it set
piping cord. You buy in
you won't get it all over your fingers like I'm doing. I'm not burning
decorative
myself,
fabric section at Hobby Lobby or a sewing store. Okay, and you basically do the same thing. This you can definitely sew through on a sewing machine.
Wrap and wind.
The other, I think you break your needles. Anyway, I will show you how to start a fabric as close to as possible. But I'm going to stop for a moment and prepare this by putting some tape around it.
Hanging off.
Okay, I have coiled the majority because you want to cover this. So I'll just finish it up. Tape that was on there, showing you what I do and the cording. And as you get to the end, again, we're just wrapping, and once you get to this point,
we're just going to continue wrapping.
This coaster, all in all, particularly once you've made one,
this is a project
you could make one of these, but the beginning and the end is probably the most difficult maximum part. 10 minutes. It's not hard. Very low materials.
Once you've done it once or twice, it becomes much easier.
But this is definitely something I think you would want to help a younger person with. Now we're down to the end. I can see where I kind of left a gap, and you see we're right down to kind of undo this, gluing on our little tail. So I'm taking my hot glue. I'm going to stick it in here. Again, this is not hard. And when as I pinch, I'm going to really press a couple times this little tail area, hoping it flattens a bit so you don't have a giant lump. Now, if you do find it's not going to make any big difference,
what I'm trying to
I just think it looks a little better if it's more tapered. This one, again, is not as tapered as you can see that I did here. I've got, but all in all, these are pretty cute little coasters. So it would make a nice little gift for somebody.
Put
on the top. Very simple to do, very inexpensive. And again, it's a project. This is a very old technique. I've made bracelets with these. I also, during COVID, made a rug by itself using the same technique, but I used clothesline and strips of
You're trying to
fabric,
create somewhat
which
of a little
I can actually show you a picture of someday if you'd like to see it, as well as the bracelets I made using this technique. You could, if you had a sewing machine, you could actually zigzag around this.
What this will enable you to do,
the coil is hard, would be hard to do.
The end
if you were using a thinner coil, such as I did with the fabric one, and what this is nothing but piping cord. You buy in the, so there. We have fabric section at Hobby Lobby or a sewing store. So now we're going to come back, take the beginning piece. This you can definitely sew through on a sewing machine. The other, I think all you're going to do to start it is take hot glue. Whoops, I need more hot glue. Show you how to start a fabric one. But I'm going to stop for a moment and prepare this by putting some tape around it. Okay,
put some on.
I have coiled the majority of this, so I'll just finish it up. You're going to fold this onto the coil and hold it just long enough. Again, to stick. Now I've got quite a bit of. Once you get to this point,
really need that much.
It's simple.
Used too much,
this
it's going to show.
Coaster, all in all, particularly once you've made one,
so now
you could make one of these, and you're going to take, I don't know, maybe maximum 10 minutes.
I added it after
very low materials.
Touch it up.
And I'm going to just stick it down momentarily. Okay. So now we have this end piece. Now we're going to take, now we're down to the end, and put a little more glue right down to gluing on our little tail. So,
and bend this onto the coil.
taking my
So
hot
we've
got it
glue.
wrapped.
I'm going to stick
So you
it
have
in
your
here.
initial twined wrapping surrounded by, as I pinch, I'm going to really press. At this point, I typically
this little
will put it down flat, hoping, and start adding
it,
so you don't have
little
a giant
bits of glue.
lump.
And again,
now,
not very much.
If you do,
right in the center
fine,
of the rope,
it's not going to make any big difference.
And
I just think it looks a little better if it's more
tapered.
If you do this on a flat
is
surface,
not as tapered,
you will keep your
as you can see that I did
flat.
here.
If you try and hold it
all in
upwards
all,
the other direction,
these are pretty cute little coasters.
Like this,
that make a nice little gift for
somebody.
So leave it laying
flat
on your table.
Very simple to do, very inexpensive, and again, it's a project.
A glue.
This is a very old technique. I've made
right
bracelets with these. I also during COVID made a
rug
at a time using
Hold
the same
it.
technique,
Let
but I
it
used
affix
clothesline and strips of fabric, which I can actually show you a picture of someday if you'd like to see it, as well as
do
the
one more
bracelets
little
I
section,
made
then I'm
using
going to
this
stop
technique.
and pause. As I know
you could, if you had a sewing
repetitive.
machine, you could actually zigzag
bit in the
around
center.
this. The coil is hard,
Turn your
would be hard to
piece,
do. If you were
pushing
using
and holding
a thinner
as you go.
coil, such as I did with the fabric one, and you see
what this is,
your coaster.
this
is nothing but
forming
piping cord.
Now I'm going to go ahead
and
and continue to coil this, and then I'll be
decorative
back.
fabric, folks. I'm back with you. Back again, and what I've done is cut a small section of this cord just to demonstrate how you would put the ends on and wrap this particular cord type fabric style coaster. You basically start it the same way as you did the others. We want to cover our taped edge with fabric. Whoops, I put it on the wrong way. This way. You want it folded over like this. Can you see what I've done? A little more glue. Add a little glue here. Bring it down. And secure your fabric. Now this strip of fabric I've torn is much larger than for this type of cord. So I'm going to trim this right here. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Just to clean up the edges. Because all we wanted to do basically right here is cover the end of this. I'm going to just snip a little of this excess fabric off. Just to remove some bulk. We don't need all of that. Okay, so I've snipped some of the fabric off. A little bit narrower. Now, you're going to add some hot glue, and you take your fabric at this point and start wrapping. You want to go around so you're covering all of that initial piece. Okay? You cover the initial piece, pull it tight so it's not a big lump. Secure with just a dab of hot glue in there so it doesn't start to unwind on you. And now you're going to just start wrapping, and it's somewhat of a diagonal. And as you wrap, you are overlapping. Can you see how I'm overlapping? This goes very quickly. It's not difficult. You can do a lot of things using strips of fabric like this. We've made headbands and everything else. But anyway, this is what you're doing. You're just basically wrapping this cord. And this was the technique I used when I said I made a rug with clothesline. This is what I did. I wrapped it with strips of fabric. Now, when you get to the end, and if you have threads, you can pull those off. I should have done that. But this is for demonstration, so that's okay. I'm going to leave them on. I'm not going to worry about it. When you get to the end, you're going to pause before you get all the way to the very end. Because first thing you want to do before you get to the end is you're going to have to put a cover over the end piece. So let's say we're close to the end. Okay, I'm going to glue this right here so I can show you. Okay. You are going to need to add your end piece to cover the end of this. Again, you're just adding a piece of fabric over it. This is exactly the same thing, same technique as the start, except